In a small village near a quiet river, there lived a girl named Grace. She was 16 years old. Her family was poor, but her heart was rich with dreams. Grace loved to write. Every night after her chores were done, she would sit under an old tree and write small stories in a torn notebook. She dreamed of becoming a writer one day, but no one in her village believed dreams like this could come true for a girl like her. Writing will not fill your stomach, her uncle would say. Girls from our village don't become writers, her neighbors would whisper. Grace heard these words every day. Slowly, she began to believe them too. She started to feel small. She started to feel like her dreams were foolish. One evening, dark clouds covered the sky. A storm was coming. Grace's mother told her to bring the goats home before the rain started. Grace ran through the fields, her notebook tucked under her arm. As she reached the old tree, the wind grew wild. Suddenly, a gust of wind snatched her notebook and threw it into the river. "No!" Grace screamed. She ran to the riverbank, watching helplessly as her notebook floated away, page by page, disappearing into the dark water. Years of her dreams, her stories, her hopes, all gone in a moment. That night, Grace sat alone, crying quietly. She felt like the storm had taken her last piece of hope too. "Maybe they were right," she whispered. "Maybe I am not meant for this." She decided that night to give up writing forever. Days passed. Grace stopped going to the old tree. She stopped dreaming, but something inside her still felt empty, like a part of her was missing. One afternoon, an old woman came to the village. Her name was Grandma Rose. She was a traveling storyteller, known in many villages for her wisdom. She stopped near the well to rest, and Grace was sent to bring her water. As Grace handed her the cup, Grandma Rose noticed the sadness in her eyes. "Why does a young girl carry such heavy sadness?" she asked gently. Grace opened her heart. She told her everything, about her love for writing, about the notebook lost in the river, about the years of people telling her that her dreams were foolish. Grandma Rose listened quietly. Then she smiled softly. "Child," she said, "a story is not kept safe in paper. A story lives inside you. The river took your notebook, but it could not take your voice. When I was young," she continued, "I lost my home in a flood. Everything I owned was gone, but I still had my voice and my heart full of stories. I began telling them to travelers, to children, to anyone who would listen. Slowly, people began to remember my name, not because of paper, because of the truth in my words." She placed her hand gently on Grace's shoulder. "Hope does not disappear like water in a river. It only whispers quietly, waiting for you to listen again." That night, Grace could not sleep. The old woman's words echoed in her mind. Hope whispers, waiting for you to listen again. She thought about her lost stories. She realized she still remembered many of them. These stories were not lost. They were alive inside her. The next morning, Grace woke up early. She made herself a small bag from an old cloth. Inside, she placed a few dry leaves and a stick of charcoal, the only writing tools she could find. She walked to the old tree again, sat down, and for the first time in weeks, she began to write. Her hand trembled at first, but slowly, the words began to flow, just like they used to. She wrote about the storm. She wrote about the river. She wrote about losing everything and finding hope again. Weeks turned into months. Grace kept writing on leaves and old cloth. She began sharing her stories with the village children under the same old tree. At first, only a few children came, but her stories were full of heart and hope. Soon, more people came too. Tired mothers, hardworking fathers, even some who once laughed at her dreams. One evening, her uncle stood quietly at the back listening to a story about a girl who lost everything but never lost her voice. When it ended, he did not speak of stomachs or foolish dreams. He simply nodded, his eyes soft with pride. Years later, Grace became known as a gifted storyteller and writer. People still remembered the day the river took her notebook, but they remembered something more important, the day she chose to listen to the whisper of hope instead of the noise of doubt. Grace often told her listeners, "The world may take away your paper, your tools, even your comfort, but no one can take away the story inside you unless you let them." And so, under that same old tree, new generations of children learned a lesson passed down through her stories, that hope is never lost forever. It is quiet, patient, and strong. It waits for us, whispering softly, until the day we are ready to listen again. Thank you.